Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn the characteristics features of coordination. In my previous class, I taught you what coordination is all about, where we learned that coordination is nothing but it is an essence of the management and it exists in each and every aspect of management and in its function, starting from planning until controlling. Coordination exists, and without coordination there's nothing in a management. At the same time, we also understood that coordination is just like a thread in a garland which unifies the efforts and the interests of various departments into one, thereby to achieve the organization objectives. Now let's move on to its characteristics features. Number one, coordination integrates group efforts. That means it unifies the unrelated and diverse interest into a purposeful work activity. It gains a common focus to group efforts to ensure that the performance is according to the plans. That means it tries to unify the interest of various members in the organization and make them into a purposeful work activity, converts them into an activity so that it gains a common focus which will enable to perform according to the plans. So every action of the members in the organization must be according to the laid out plans. This is possible only if coordination exists. So thereby it's trying to unify the various interests of the members and ensures that its performance is according to the plans. Number two, coordination ensures unity of action. Of course, unity is the most important aspect. If you have a good cooperation and coordination, but there doesn't exist unity among the members, then obviously it is of mere waste. The coordination and cooperation is of mere waste, it's useless. So coordination must ensure that there exists unity of action. That means if everyone are asked to do a particular task, then every individual in that particular organization or department or team must execute the action what is being asked to deliver and should not do any other work which is not asked to do at that point of time. So this ensures that everyone are performing the same task, thereby everyone has a unity of action. So unity of action means it's binding the force between departments. It will ensure that all the action is aimed in achieving the goals of the organization. So for what purpose there must be unity? Only if you are united you can able to achieve your goals without any problems. So we have to stay united and you have to show your unity, thereby you can able to achieve the organization objectives. The third one states that coordination is a continuous process. Yes, of course. We saw that coordination exists in each and every functions of management, right from planning till controlling. That means it's all a continuous plan, it's all a continuous task. First stage is planning, then you go for organizing, then you move on to staffing, then you go on to directing, and finally you end on controlling. So if you look at this, each and every functions is having a continuity. It is a continuous process. It won't get stopped in one particular function and then carry out from the rest. It goes as a continuous. It goes on. So in that aspect, if you look at coordination, it begins at the planning stage and runs that continues until controlling stage. So the top management members will plan for the entire organization. As we have different hierarchy in the management, the top management will just draft the plan for the entire year for the organization. The organizational structure is developed and staffed according to these plans. The organization structure is developed and it has been staffed according to these plans. Directing is required for execution of the plan and controlling for correcting the deviations if there is any. The rest of the two activities, that is directing and controlling, also has a connectivity with coordination. That means the coordination must ensure that the laid out plans are being directed accordingly, and if there exists any discrepancy, then they need to undergo the corrections, which means corrective actions needs to be taken up, and that's possible only if there is a good coordination. For example, let me give you one classic example. In a multinational company, an organization, there are various departments, and inside each department there exists more than 30 plus teams. Each and every department has some number of teams, in which in a particular department there exists 30 plus teams. Among these 30 plus teams, two teams are directly related to each other. There are two teams which are directly related to each other. One is a team where the payments will be collected from the members and they will close the accounts of those customers. I repeat it. One team will collect the payments from the respective customers and apply towards their loan account, and they will foreclose their accounts if the account gets closed. The another team is one which will collect the checks from the members and scan them through scanners and forward it to the respective team. If suppose the team which performs the scanning task has not executed their work properly, that means 2 or 3 checks were not scanned properly or the images is not visible. Now the receiving end team, there is a team which is at the receiving end, if they know the member who performs his task and if there exists a good synergy among those two team members, obviously the respective member can just redo the same task and do the needful to the receiving team. Thereby, they can avoid errors or delay in the process. Thus, we can say that coordination exists at each and every level, and at the same time it is directing and it's also controlling when and there required in order to take the corrective actions. So here, if you see, we know that one team just directs those checks to another team to process. If there exists any discrepancy in visibility, then obviously the receiving team, that is a check receiving team, can immediately contact the other end, that is the sender of those checks, and can resolve the issues if there are any, or can take some corrective actions if they have gone wrong. So this is a classic example where we could see that this is possible only if there exists a good coordination among the members. Else, it is not possible. Right, moving on to the fourth one. Coordination is a pervasive function. That means required at all levels of management and in all departments. So it exists in all the levels of management and also at all the departments. There is no hard and fast rule that it exists in only one particular department or at one particular level, not at all the levels. It integrates the efforts of all the departments and different levels, coordinates the efforts of purchase, production, sales, and finance departments for achieving the organizational objectives. So if you look at this, if the production department exists, or if the production department extends their production services to the sales department, then the sales will take place. And once sales takes place, the accounts department will have the work to account them in their books of accounts, and this brings a continuity to the process, and also it helps to achieve the organizational objectives, and at the same time it also ensures that coordination efforts at various departments and at various levels such as purchase, production, sales, finance, etc. exist in the organization. So the quantum of coordination can't be fixed, but it's very clear that it is mandatory, and the amount of coordination must be to the greatest effort. Only then the success of the organization is possible. The next fifth concept is coordination is considered to be the responsibility of all managers. That means each and every department, there's levels of department, will have managers. So coordination is considered to be as a responsibility of every individual manager to ensure that it takes place in the organization for the smooth functioning of the organization and for achieving the organizational objectives. So it is a responsibility of all managers, where the functions of every manager in the organization, right from top level till the last, there is the lowermost level, the supervisory level, coordination plays a major role. The top level managers, to ensure that the overall policies of the organization are duly carried out. So for the top level managers, coordination is must to ensure that the policies of the organization are carried out perfectly. The middle level managers, are also more concerned about the coordination, since they are the one who have to travel towards the top level management and the low level management. So the middle level management or the middle level managers are the one who bridges or who connects the top level and the bottommost, that is the lower level management. Thus, coordination, their main aspect is to coordinate both top level and first line managers. So in that aspect, coordination plays a major role. It considered to be as a responsibility of manager. The third one is operational level management. The operational level management needs coordination. They coordinate the activities of the workers to ensure the work proceeds according to plan. So thus if you look at this, top level managers needs to ensure that the organization are duly carrying out the policies. The policies of the organization are duly carried out. For that purpose, they need coordination. For the middle level management, coordination is must, since they are the one who connects the top level and the first line managers. Whereas for the operational level of management, coordination is considered to be as most important function, because they coordinate the works, they coordinate the activities of the workers in order to ensure that the work proceeds according to plan. So as each and everyone in the organization, that is each and everyone different levels of organization is in need of coordination. Able to understand? Right. The next one is coordination is deliberate function. That means it is a mandatory, it's a deliberate function, purposeful function. The manager has to coordinate the efforts of different people in concise and deliberate manner. I repeat it. The manager has to coordinate the efforts of different people in conscious and deliberate manner. Coordination gives a direction where members of the department willingly cooperate and work with the team spirit. So, in the organization, the workers must have the willingness to work and they must have the team spirit. So, coordination brings out the team spirit as well as the willingness among the members in the department. And the most important thing which we all have to keep in our mind is cooperation and coordination are considered to be complement to each other. Cooperation and coordination are considered to be a complement to each other. Cooperation in the absence of coordination may lead to a wasted efforts. Suppose in an organization there exists a good cooperation among the members, but coordination doesn't exist, then the efforts whatever the members are put in are of mere waste. It's useless. Similarly, coordination without cooperation, there exists a good coordination but there is no cooperation, may lead to dissatisfaction among employees. Can you able to understand? If there exists either cooperation but no coordination, that is of waste efforts. Whereas there is a coordination but there is no cooperation, that leads to a dissatisfaction among employees. Able to understand, students? Any doubts? Now, let's try to understand the concept of cooperation and coordination with a classic example. In a class of 20 students, and 5 teachers. That means it's a senior secondary class where they will have 5 subjects, 4 major and 1 minor. So, in a class of 20 students and 5 teacher ratio, the students find that each teacher is unique in their own style, or each teacher is different from other based upon their subjects. But the students provide same amount of or same quantum of cooperation. Whatever the teacher says, they immediately respond. Whatever the teacher say, they does their work immediately. So there exists a good cooperation and coordination. A school where in a senior secondary, whatever the teacher says, if the student follows and does according to the guidelines and submits the work on the right time, then we can say that there is a good rapport, there is a good synergy, there is a good cooperation and coordination that exists among student and teacher. Whereas, on the other hand, the teacher takes great efforts to make the student to understand the concepts through their handwritten notes, lectures, videos, PowerPoints, whatever it is, whatever the maximum content that they have, the teacher is trying to explain, the teacher is trying to make sure that each and every individual in the class is understanding the concept. Perhaps if 1 or 2 students among those 20 is not paying the attention, towards what teacher says, then this shows that there is a good coordination but lack of cooperation. That means 1 or 2 persons act might bind the entire class as a whole. So here we could see that the teacher is trying to coordinate, is trying to cope up, is trying to understand the student, the importance of the subject, what they deal with. But if the student fails to listen, or if the student fails to pay his attention towards the teacher, then the efforts is totally waste. So where this is what we say, cooperation in the absence of coordination may lead to waste efforts. So the rest of the students are cooperating, but 1 or 2 is not coordinating, then it might lead to a waste efforts. On the other hand, it says that coordination without cooperation might lead to dissatisfaction. Which means, suppose there is a good coordination among the students and teacher, whereas on a particular day, when a particular topic is being taught, 1 or 2 students have taken leave and it is not possible for the teacher to retake the same topic due to time constraint. Then this we could say that coordination without cooperation might lead to dissatisfaction among employees. Here we were terming as employees, but we can take now example as children. It might lead to dissatisfaction among children. So in that sense, cooperation and coordination both are equally important. Only if both exist, the end result will be fruitful. Any one slides down, or if any one among these two slopes down, then you can't expect the targeted result. It might end up, or it might give you a different result. Any doubts, students, so far? Right. With this, the nature and characteristics of coordination comes to an end. We'll discuss upon the rest in our next session. Thank you, students.